Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another awesome session of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. My name's Joe Grabowski. For those who don't know, I'm the founder of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and what we're all about here is bringing science, adventure, and conservation into classrooms around North America and beyond. So we have an awesome guest today, but before I introduce Andy, I want to just briefly mention our classrooms joining us. So we have Mr. Gallagher's class from Oaks Hills Terrace in San Antonio, Texas. Go ahead, turn your mic on, say hi, guys. All right. Then we have joining us we've got a grade 1 class joining us from Grass Lake Elementary in Michigan. So I'm going to turn your mic on and say hi to everyone. All right. And last but not least, I have 2 classes joining me. I've got grade 6s and grade 7s. And we are in Guelph, Ontario. So that's enough for those introductions. Let's meet Andy. So Andy Casagrande, he's a field producer and Emmy award-winning cinematographer. His projects take him all over the world, filming the behaviors of different predators. And if you've ever watched Shark Week, which I'm sure most of you have, you'll see Andy work behind the camera, in front of the camera as well. So that's enough for me. Let's turn things over to Andy. Andy, how are you this morning?
Good morning, kids. Good to be here. How are you?
We're good. How's everybody doing? We're good.
Don't be shy. So you guys are all up in Canada?
We've got my class in Canada, a class in Michigan, and a class in Texas.
Wow, we got all over the place. Well, that's great. It's good to be here, guys. I'm actually in an office right now working on a contract, and not the most exciting thing, but I'm actually gearing up for a film shoot in Mexico to film great white sharks for Shark Week again. And we're going to go film very big sharks 250 miles off the coast of Mexico. And great whites are my favorite animal. Do you guys also like sharks, or do you like dolphins or whales, or what's your favorite?
Hands up if you guys like the sharks.
Good, cool. I remember when I was your age, I used to be in the classroom and all I could think about was sharks, because the first time I saw them was on TV. And then I remember reading about them in school books, and your parents would tell you, you know, not to believe everything you see on TV, but the first shark I saw, I knew it was real. And then it forever changed my life, and all I've been doing is filming sharks and studying about them and learning more about them. So it's really cool to tell you stories about sharks, and we've got a couple cool videos to show you as well. I sent one to Joe, who's going to show it to you, and I was in the Bahamas recently, and I put a camera on the fin of a great hammerhead shark. Joe, I think you have that video, right? I think it's called Hammerhead Fin Cam. Let's see if it comes up. Sorry, totally forgot about that.
Your phone. Cash deals are easy.
Cool.
I'd made a copy of your check and put it in here.
Okay.
So I filled it out. I gave myself an extra $1,000.
I was a little worried about that.
Don't worry,
I'm only kidding.
it's I'll be sending it out right there. So.
Can you guys see the video?
You're good to go.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna probably take this outside. Sorry,
Yeah, no worries.
this came up.
I'll give this.
Didn't forget about it, but
Hey, you're welcome. If you want to go in like our conference
yeah,
room,
maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thanks, man. Because the reception is still pretty good here.
Okay. So we've got Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Feel free to hang out.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Yep. Here you go.
Thank you. I'll see you before I leave.
Okay, no problem. Just come out.
Okay. So did you guys see that? For some reason I got I can't hear you. For some reason, you guys are on mute. Trying to figure out what I did here.
No, that's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Thumbs up, classrooms, if you guys saw that okay. Did you see the hammerhead shark video? All right, it worked.
Oh, excellent. So I was always dreaming to try to put a camera on a shark's fin to get that perspective of what it's like to swim around like a shark. And the camera was just a GoPro. It's totally non-invasive, which means it doesn't hurt the shark in any way. It's totally shark friendly. And it gave me that really cool perspective of cruising along with the shark. And you can see that it filmed other sharks. And even at one point, it turned on its side to take the camera off. And I showed that to some scientists, and I thought it was really cool because sharks will often have these parasites, these remoras. They're like little sucker fish that hang onto their fins and hang onto their back. And when the shark eats something, the little fish will then come out and get the scraps and feed on the scraps. So, but sometimes they start to bug the shark, and the shark wants to take them off. So the shark will turn upside down and scrape its back or its fin on the sand and take the remoras off, which is really cool. So, you know, whether you want to be a scientist, whether you want to be a cameraman or a camera girl, or, you know, anything that involves sharks, even, you know, working at an aquarium, you know, it's important that people care about sharks and that they learn about them because, you know, a lot of people think they're really scary and they're really mean, but, you know, they're really not. They're just predators. They can't go to the grocery store or the supermarket and buy their food. They have to hunt their food, because if they don't hunt and feed, then they don't survive. And the big thing about sharks is that they're, you know, one of the top predators in the food chain. So it's critical for them to be able to feed and keep the balance in the ecosystem. And then the real top predator are humans. And we're the biggest danger to sharks, and we're way more dangerous to sharks than they are to us. So anyway, it's good if you can spread the word to your friends and your family and tell them that sharks aren't bad. They're just trying to survive, and they're important to the planet. And they've been around before the dinosaurs. But anyway, enough talking. I'm trying to think of some of the cool videos I sent to Joe. There's one really cool one where I was in New Zealand, and I was filming the top of the water with a slow motion camera. And then this shark comes out, not out of the water, but it's just below the surface. And Joe, I think it's called something Flex or 500 frames or Great White GWS, but it's a video.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Okay, so check this out, kids.
Queuing it up right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can see just the surface of the water, and then the shark will appear just underneath. It's pretty cool. And there's the shark. And it was
That's
really
coming through
cool.
okay on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because, you know, I saw the shark from under the water, but the camera was on the top, and when I dropped it in, it did a very nice reveal of the shark's face, and then it was just kind of cruising along. It looks a little bit scary, but, you know, often when you're watching TV, they'll put scary music and sound effects, but in the real world, it's very quiet and peaceful, and you just hear the seagulls and the sound of the water. So that was a really cool shot I got in New Zealand during a Shark Week show recently. So, and back to Shark Week, I'm already working on a bunch of new projects for 2016. We have to often film the shows or the Shark Week documentaries a year in advance because the shark seasonality, the time that's best to film them and find them, is usually, you know, May, June, July, and, you know, Shark Week airs around, you know, July. So we have to make it 1 year in advance, and then they have an editing team to put together the footage. And I'm not a big fan of working in the edit team because then I have to be in the office and I can't be underwater. So until they make computers that work underwater for editing, then I think I'll just keep filming the sharks.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any questions?
All right, let's see. Let's go to our grade ones and see if they have any questions to start us off. There, your mic is on.
Yeah, right here.
What was the question?
Where is your favorite spot to take pictures?
Where's my favorite spot to take pictures? I really
Yeah.
love Africa because in Africa you can film sharks and lions and crocodiles and rhinoceros and elephants, and even though I do primarily sharks, at least I have for the past few years, I also like to film, other animals. And Africa is an amazing place because there's so much wildlife and so many cool stories there to tell. So I would have to say South Africa and all of Africa are my favorite places to take pictures and make films.
All right, good question. You have another one for us?
What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal, I would have to say it's probably the great white shark. And then after that, probably the killer whale or the orca. So, and a lot of people don't know, but killer whales or orcas are able to eat and hunt great white sharks. So the great white shark really isn't the king of the ocean. It's really the killer whale. And you get orcas all over the world, Antarctica, Africa, off the coast of Canada, off the coast of California, all over the place, Mexico. So they're pretty amazing animals, and I was very lucky to film them in New Zealand and in Patagonia. So those are probably my two favorite, great white sharks and orcas.
All right, great questions. Andy, do you mind if I share, you sent a clip of the epic fail with the GoPro.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind if I play that in between? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
pop that up, and then we'll switch to the next question.
Yeah, let's watch that clip. This is probably my all-time biggest failure while filming.
All right, here we go. I don't think it was on purpose, guys.
I totally lost that camera. I was trying to get a cool shot. That camera rig is called a 360-degree spherical rig, and it allows you to shoot in every different angle, and it's got 6 different GoPros on it. And I wasn't trying to get the shark to bite it. I was just trying to get it really close to its mouth and close to its face and its eyes to get a cool perspective. But unfortunately, the shark got a little too close, and I didn't have the camera tied off onto anything. So I lost the whole thing. And, even though I swim with great white sharks sometimes without a cage, in this situation, it was just too dangerous because I didn't have any scuba diving fins on. I had a lot of weight on my belt. Plus, I was on a system where I'm breathing off of a scuba rig that's attached to the boat, and it's called a hookah system. So I just couldn't get the camera, so I was pretty sad for that day. But then when I watched that shot, I thought it was pretty funny. So, it just goes to show sometimes even when you fail, because I call that my most epic failure, it's still a funny shot because you see the shark come up and break it off. And you could also see, which is interesting, that the shark spit out the camera. And that shows you that sharks are pretty smart. Sometimes when they bite people, it's pretty rare that they try to eat people. Usually if they bite someone, it's by mistake. They think that you're a seal, or they think that you're something else, a turtle. So, even though it's a bit scary, usually the sharks are just trying to feed on something they normally like to eat. And if you're out there surfing or spearfishing, sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But anyway, don't hold it against the sharks. You're going to often hear people tell you that it's shark-infested waters and that the beach or the ocean that you go to is infested with sharks. But the truth is, it's not shark-infested. It's human-infested. It's people-infested. We don't live there. We're visiting. So if they say something is infested, it means that that's being invaded by this foreign thing, or your termites are in your house. It's not true. The humans are the ones that are going there as visitors. So we just have to respect the shark's home. And, I think we can all hopefully get along. So thanks for showing that, Joe. I forgot about that. Sometimes I try not to show that one.
That's a great point, Andy. We're going to move to our class in Texas in just 1 second, but you were talking about how you're in the cage and sometimes you're out of the cage. I've got this little 11-second clip you sent as well where you're outside the cage.
Yeah.
I'm going to play that really quick. It's just a short 11-second one.
Cool.
So there it goes.
I remember that. That was in South Africa, and we were swimming on the bottom without a cage. And that one shark was not aggressive, but she really liked my camera. So she kept swimming up to my camera and bumping into it. And just, it was almost like she was checking out her reflection in the dome port of my camera, like she was thinking she was cute. So she was a female shark, and she was quite big, but very friendly. So that was pretty cool.
All right. So, Mr. Gallagher, if you don't mind turning your mic on, we'll grab a couple questions from your class.
You know, sometimes I do. If I see a shark eating a seal or a crocodile eating a zebra or anything like that, I do feel a little bit sad because, you know, all of the animals, you know, they have a right to live and to have a nice life. But then I also think if the shark doesn't eat the seal, then the shark will die and it won't survive. So, you know, I think it's part of the circle of life where, you know, sometimes the sharks will focus on hunting the sick seal or the injured seal, and they, you know, it's almost like they're keeping the balance in the ecosystem by hunting that seal that maybe is going to die anyway. Sometimes the healthy seal will get eaten, but you know, it's just part of life, and I don't think either the seal or the shark are taking it personally. It's just something that they have to do to survive. And you know, if you know anything about seals, there are thousands and thousands. Some of these seal colonies have 60,000 seals on them, and then around the seal colony maybe there's 50 to 100 great white sharks. So there are a lot of seals, and they reproduce a lot. So even though it's a little sad to watch sometimes, it's just the way that, you know, evolution and nature works in order for things to survive and for the planet to be healthy. I think that's a good answer.
Oh, I agree. Great answer. Great question. Let's grab one more from you guys.
That's a great question. You know, most of the shoots that I go on to, most of the documentary film shoots, they, on average, they're probably about 3 weeks long. But the longest one I've ever been on was 3 months. I was in the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, and that's in East Africa. And I was trying to film the largest lion pride along the Serenera River, which is in the Serengeti National Park. And they it was for National Geographic, and they sent me there on assignment for 3 months. So 3 months is a long time. Every day you're in the Land Rover filming the lions or the cheetahs or the elephants or the, you know, the leopards. So the longest shoot has been 3 months, and then the shortest shoot is probably 3 days. But for 3 days, you can't always expect that you're going to get the shot because weather and wildlife are very unpredictable. So you never really know if you're going to get it or not. But 3 days or 3 months is kind of the average.
Okay, so we're going to grab a couple from my class now, Andy. I've got one more clip you sent me. It's the one where you're in the cage and the great white shark is investigating. It's kind of like almost like a propelled cage that you're in.
Oh yeah, that's right. This was from Shark Week this year. We had a self-propelled cage, and the sharks were very interested in the cage or in me, but it was a little scary, but nothing I'm not used to.
All right, so it's popping up now. There it goes.
Watch out, Matilda! What the? She's massive! This is a lot of sharks. Yeah, right, man. We should probably head back to the boat now. So it's time to head home.
All right.
Yeah, I remember that was a little scary, but the sharks were very curious of our self-propelled cage. We built this cage that had propellers on it so that we could zoom around and film the sharks, and it was pretty awesome. So let's open it up to questions with you guys.
All right, come on around, Mackenzie, this side.
What's the rarest species that you found of shark?
That's a good question. You know, there's so many. There's over 500 species of sharks, and for me, geez, the rarest species, because I'm usually focusing on the ones that are the most popular: the great white sharks, the hammerheads, the bull sharks, the makos. That is a good question. The rarest species, probably the rarest, is called a tasseled woebegone shark. It looks really weird. It almost looks like it's part of the reef. It's got all these little things growing off it, and it's perfectly camouflaged. If you Google woebegone, W-O-B-B-E-G-O-N-G, I think, and I think that's actually the species I saw was called tasseled, like tassels on your bike handlebars. It was really unique because I could barely see it, and it was hiding on the reef, and that's how they hunt. They basically pretend that they're part of the reef structure or the coral, and then, the fish will swim by, and then they'll ambush the fish. Sorry about that. The fish, he's still there. The fish think it's just part of the reef, so that's probably the most rare species that I've ever filmed. But I want to film like the megamouth and the goblin shark and all these other cool shark species. But so far, they keep sending me out to film great whites, so I'm going to have to talk to the networks and tell them that we've got to film other sharks too.
I agree. Give some love to the other sharks. Come on over, Ryan. Yeah.
Was your life ever endangered when you were filming sharks?
Maybe a few times. Usually it's more that I'm about to run out of air. I've been down for too long under the water, and I'm having, such an amazing time with the sharks, or I'm getting so focused on filming that sometimes I forget that I'm breathing on a scuba tank, and then I'll look down at my air gauge, and it's pretty much empty. So probably the scariest time is when I almost drown because I'm just staying down too long. And sometimes the sharks will try to bite my camera. I've had them bite my fins a few times, but nothing nothing really serious. So it's it's probably more dangerous going to the airplane or the train or the bus to go film the sharks than it is diving with the sharks.
That's a great point, Andy. Do you have time if we just swing to each class once for just a final question?
Sure.
All right. Sterling, do you want to wrap up with our class, and we'll swing back to the others?
How many species have you seen of sharks?
How many species? I would say probably, if I had to just guess, probably about 25 different species. And it's a goal of mine to actually see more of them because, like I said before, I always seem to be filming the ones that are most popular. But sharks there's over 500 species, so I would love to be able to film all the other different species, and sometimes they're really hard to find. But yeah, I would say about 20 or 25, which is not a lot out of 500. So we need to start a new Shark Week called the they have shows called Alien Sharks where they're looking at different shark species that you haven't seen before that are pulled up from the deep. So I'll work on that.
All right, good point. Our grade ones in Michigan, do you have a final question for Andy?
How far do you have to travel? How much do you have to travel for work?
That's a good question. I do travel a lot, probably too much. Sometimes I'm on the road or overseas in different places 320 days a year. So maybe I'm home for 1.5 months or, a long time. So I have a wife and 2 little kids, so I'm trying to spend more time at home. And sometimes they come with me in the field, which is cool. But yeah, I travel a lot, probably too much. So this is cool that I can do these things. I was trying to be home on my computer to do this, but now I'm in some office right now doing it from my phone. So Yeah, I travel a lot.
Okay, let's grab one more question from San Antonio.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm still learning every day. I started filming when I was about 20 years old. I mean, I started taking pictures when I was younger, photographs, but I didn't start filming video or motion picture till I was about 20. I'm 37 now, so I've been doing it for 17 years. And you know, every job I still try to learn more things and keep getting better. So for anyone that wants to be a cameraman or a camera girl, it's just important to practice as much as you can, even if it's with a camera that's not the best, or if you want to use a GoPro or whatever. Every time you film, you get better and better, and you learn more. So, like I said, I'm still learning now, but you know, you can get good in one day if you work hard enough.
All right, Andy, if I can just ask you one question as we wrap up.
Sure.
The camera you use, the
Yeah.
Red Epic, can you talk a little, just briefly about that camera?
Yeah, so like you said, the Red Epic camera is super high resolution, and they even upgraded it recently, and I upgraded to the newer one. It's called the Red Dragon, and it shoots 6K resolution, and that means 6,000 pixels of resolution, even more than that. I mean, it basically, in a regular TV screen, usually they're HD. This is 10 times bigger than your regular TV screen or your big, you know, LCD TV. So it's the same camera that they use in Hollywood to film Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Pirates of the Caribbean, Mad Max, all these new movies that are out. They're filmed on these cameras, the Red Dragon, and it's really cool because it's nice to be able to film wildlife with the same camera that they film Brad Pitt with, or any of these Tom Cruise or any of these big Hollywood stars. I think the great white sharks also deserve, you know, a really good camera, and orcas and all the wildlife.
Awesome. Well, Andy, I can't thank you enough. I know you're just kind of a small window for the next couple days, kind of
No problem.
what you're up to. So the fact that you take the time to do stuff like this is awesome. So I thank you for that. And we'll definitely have to get you on in the future when you have a little bit of a calmer schedule, although I don't know if that really happens very much. But yeah, if you want to say anything in closing, then I'll get the classes just to kind of wave and say thank you, and we'll wrap up for today.
Okay, guys. Well, yes. You know, like Joe said, I am quite busy, but it's really cool to be able to talk to kids. And I was actually giving a talk yesterday to over 500 school kids here in Florida, and telling them about sharks and how important sharks are to the ecosystem. And I think that's just the take-home message, is to try to inspire people to realize that sharks aren't bad. You know, they're just predators trying to survive, and humans should try to, you know, learn to coexist and keep them on this planet, because they're critical to the survival of the planet and our oceans. And they're so cool. If there's no sharks left, what am I going to do? I won't have a job. So just be nice to sharks.
All right. Great. Awesome, Andy. Thanks so much. I'm going to turn the microphones on. In San Antonio, Mr. Gallagher, if you want to turn yours on.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Good luck on your next shoot, and I hope you get a little bit of a break before you have to go back out.
Me too.
Thanks, Andy.
Take care. Bye-bye.